This is a follow-up video to the cool board receiver with the 2 germanium transistors, but I was checking the, okay, so my 1440 kilohertz, more or less, modulator transmitters in the other. So this is a TA7642 unit built into a, how do you say, this is it. This was just a little fun project I did. So this shows a little more modern architecture with the IC, the TA7642 IC, and kind of a WR8 or WR9 loop receiver preamplifier here. Oh, the transistor's on the bottom. Yeah, I had to replace the transistor. It's on the bottom at 2N3904 in Class A mode. I blew it somehow, overloaded the audio output from transmitting, so to make sure this thing isn't tuned to anything while it's on and I'm transmitting. Anyway, so it's back working beautifully. I just put these things in here. So that's that. Hey, very sensitive during the night hours on, but this isn't the real thing. It's back to the this. Remember this? This was in the other video. There's another video on this. About 10 minutes. And Lawrence Roland's music is playing. A friend of mine I met. So there's no, except it's going into a rather quiet phase right now. So this is the unit, but I was going to show, where's the music coming from? Where's the music coming from? Oh, where is it coming from? I can put on all my homemade receivers, picking up the local. Let's get it very well. Yeah. This showed up in some kind of Vice TV video. So we've got this beautiful music playing from Lawrence Roland. She did in a Nevada studio in Marin. Now what's doing it out here? Where's it coming from? Well, it's coming from my, I've just been doing a dual TRF receiving. There's my lovely TCS that's been featured. This versus the outside aerials are for the receiving stereo, but right now I'm transmitting into the outside aerials on about 1440 with this, and you've seen this probably in another vid here, or it shows up, but that's the that's just my low power. It does about 1 watt on CW. It can be used as a ham transmitter, but it's a good test signal generator because there are no local broadcast stations, and even if there were, they probably have the crappy politics and grap on. There's only one local broadcast station. It's this one. I've heard of some other, the mag loops. It's a whole other experiment. Mag loops of one turn, 8.7 microhenries, work beautifully for Whistler receiver reception. So here's my upscale abode here. Simple living movement. I'm part of, not quite simple as far as things I do, but I don't like a bunch of chattel. I want to be able to go expeditioning rather than too tied into. But this is the antenna system. Oh, and this has been seen before, right? That's been seen in other videos with the TCS doing high voltage. So here we are in the hangout, desert hideaway, and we go into and what do we have? This is where the source of the music. I leave this going on 1440 during the daylight hours, and it's got enough signal where it's pretty clear on the car radio, like 2 blocks away, and it really is DX by the time I get a quarter mile out of town. It really is turning into DX. And now as far as this, that's communicated with half the planet. Okay, and other things. So anyway, I just wanted to give a little tour of the modulator transmitter, broadcasting this lovely Lawrence Rowland tribute memorial music on 1440 KC to my homemade radios. And we'll turn off the more modern TA 7642 designs. I like to detune it off of any frequency I might. And go back to elementary radio. The dual germanium. I just love germanium transistors. They're so like archaic. Look at that. And yet, what a revolution they were. Now, I love vacuum tube technology and have learned a lot, but sort of in parallel with solid state. Now, all the complicated Mauser electronics devices with bazillion pins coming out of them, those little black squares, what do? They're mystery devices. They were made by robots and engineers and computers, and it's all high-tech and bazillions of transistor junctions and silicon in them, and you just have to go, oh, where's it all leading? It's all too complicated. It really was. I don't think I'd get into it today, but it was so available. And as this end of the boomer generation into Generation Jones, we were Jones, and man, they were shutting it all down. And the Carolina High School Electronics Club had closed. Ham Radio Club, K6JEO, closed. They were closing down all these cool electronics programs the boomers got to enjoy a decade before I entered high school. And by the time I got in, the generational numbers were going down. So I benefited by getting the surplus, which is one of these. I acquired this in the same place at the same time as my beloved TCS-13 seen out there. This is probably the second unit from high school that I still retain, except it's now been very modified. So this has been the star of the show today. This is in tribute to Lawrence Rowland, a very kind gentleman I met, and his music. So I challenge the digital engineers to be able to transmit beautiful, clean, analog sounding music with 2 transistors to receive it. They can't do it. They need robot augmentation now to do their thing. They can't. No, they're turning into robots themselves, and they want to turn us into robots too. I encourage everybody to read Edward Abbey, Science with a Human Face. Read it 10 times and absorb what Edward Abbey, the outdoor essayist, has to say about technology. But anyway, it can be used for beautiful things too. This is almost a work of art as much constructional, architectural, archetypical art as it is functionality. So I've been kind of stoked about this thing. It's very telephonic, isn't it? Yeah, and it's very germanium. So there's your old tech from high school. That's the schematic. I will show there. Screenshot it, pause it, snap a picture of it. This is the circuit I would encourage people to try out. It's really hilariously great. It really makes a neat little radio. It could be built really into a tiny thing too. I think the only size limitation would be the inductor. But even that could be... I like these spiderweb coils. Okay, vid 2 here about this unit. And vid 3 will be the kit. 1 germanium transistor unit from the 70s. We'll be talking to this coming up in another video from N6NKS.